Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're gonna jump into a topic of something that I realize is taking over, and I openly gonna say my feelings about it. I hate it. I hate that it's such a crazy thing, and that is people who make their animals more important than human interaction. I've been encountering this a lot lately, where I talk to people or new people that I might get to know, and you see that there's so much about their animals. And I understand back in the days people had pets, but your pet was never more important than your human interaction. We're getting to a place now, because the social dynamic of people and the way they interact with others is so fleeting, so temporary, that they try to hold on to something in their life that they can consider their own, but it has to be something they can control, which is an animal. Because an animal is very primitive, like a baby infant who will do everything you say because they're dependent on you, yet still gives you that sense of, well, this is my family because they're living, but yet is the equivalent of a robot. And it's a shame, because I'm seeing this more often and more often, where people have a pet, whether it's a dog or a cat, but especially dogs, and that dog is very reliant on them. So especially with dogs, where they're like, I have a dog, it's my best friend, I love them, they're my family. And I see this especially more so with women than I do men. I don't really see this much with men. If it happens with men, I think probably that social incorrectness, for lack of a better word, would end up balancing itself out with that they will probably be falling in society if that's the case. But a lot of times, women are not going to be frowned upon as much for this, because, men aren't going to frown upon on them, because men are trying to get with them. So it's not going to happen. But essentially, I'm seeing a lot more. I'm not trying to sugarcoat this at all. It's a bigger thing with women than it is with men. But in general, people having their pets, and they're like, okay, I can't go on human interactions. I can't go on dates. I can't make new friends unless I make sure my dog is taken care of. That's priority number one. I have to make sure my dog is good. And it's like, to the point where people are actually negating having families if their dog is not primary in the picture, or their pet, we'll just say their pet is not primary in the picture. And it's getting chaotic when you actually start seeing how often that is. Now, I don't think a lot of people have spoken on this point, so a lot of people haven't realized how widespread it is. But once the dialogue is opened up and the conversation is had, you start to realize there's a lot of people out there who have pets, and they put their pets as high as they do people. And it, to me, if I'm being honest with you, is almost a form of sickness, that it's starting to create this element of like, how would you prioritize a pet over having a family? So even in the dating world, someone will say, like, if this person doesn't accept my dog, I don't want to date them. If this person doesn't accept that I gotta be at home at this certain time because I gotta make sure I can feed my dog, and I got blah blah, and it gets to the point where they put an animal in their life so powerful that it takes over all other elements of things, in terms of just, I even have a neighbor who, I know they're in a relationship, but it's like, I see them walk their dog, but then they always have other people come to walk their dog, and I see like maybe 3 different people walking this dog. This dog gets treatment on a level that is crazy. And if you don't have the time for a dog, don't have a dog. But the fact that there are people who work long jobs, and they're always like, I gotta get home to get to my dog, and it's like, put a person in your life. Don't put a dog in your life. Back in the days, people had dogs when they had full family. So you had, it was like a husband and wife, you had kids, and the family as a whole, as a collective, would take care of the dog. So you didn't have this thing where any individual had to put the dog above people, because a whole family was taking care of the dog. Now, I grew up with a dog when I was younger, and I didn't mind having a dog back then, because once again, if my mom didn't take care of the dog, or if it wasn't my dad who took care of the dog, or if it wasn't my brother who took care of the dog, then it was me. But at least it was spread around to where, all of us interacted. So it was never a thing where I was ever going to say, whether it came to hanging out with my friends or it came to going on, at that age, it's like, you don't have a whole lot of dating experiences. But if it came to going out on a date, it wasn't going to be where I'm like, oh, I gotta take care of my dog. I'm never going to say to a girl, oh, like, listen, I can't go on a date. I got to be home and take care of my dog. That wasn't happening back then. Now, obviously, you're young. When you get older, the problem where that becomes almost a sickness is because when you're older, in your 30s, 35 or older, whatever the case is, even more so, you should not be prioritizing a pet. over human interaction because you haven't even developed a family yet. You don't have a family yet. So how are you doing that to prioritize that over hanging out with people, human interaction? I really think it's becoming a sickness. I really think that it's not a sickness. It is showing the sickness within people that they are putting their emotions into animals because that's how messed up they are, to the point where, that's what they're doing. Comment below how you guys feel in this. I'm pretty sure that what we're gonna find is, if people do, I know my channel is not that big to have a lot of people commenting, but if it gets to the point where people are able to comment to the video, I will say that you'll probably have where you have a lot of people who are dog owners, animal owners. I specifically see it more so with dogs because dogs are less independent than cats. Cats you could kind of leave at home, have their litter box, they'll do their own thing. You really don't need to attend to them, where dogs require more attending to. So I think that's where a lot of people choose dogs, because it makes them feel like this person needs me. So now I can be this quote unquote parent to them. And I've heard people say, I've heard a lot of women say this before, my dog is pretty much my kid. It sounds sick to me. I get that when you're saying that just in a kind of figurative way and not literal way, in the sense like, oh yeah, I gotta take care of them, but the whole family takes care of them and we do our thing. When you dedicate your life to that, and I hear people who pay veterinarian bills that are thousands of dollars to keep their dog going and this and that. Back in the days when I was younger, you had one dog, that dog was getting old, you bought another dog. So the two dogs interacted with each other at the same time. When the older dog started fading away and passed away, you still had another dog in the family. It wasn't about replacing them, but we're not going to spend thousands of dollars that we don't have maintaining a creature that has an incredibly short lifespan. Dogs have a very short lifespan. Most dogs probably live at best on average 10 years. Most people who've had dogs know they've gone through many dogs before the time that they were 40. You weren't 1 year old and now you're 40 or 50 years old and your dog is that same age with you. No, it died a long time ago. Dogs live probably on average about 10 years. And as far as the long length of their age, some live longer, some live shorter. So we're going to go with 10 years. You can be 30 years old and gone through 3 dogs already by that time. I know when I was young, before I was even 20 years old, maybe even just 15, I already went through 3 dogs already. Dobermans. My family used to always have Doberman pinschers. So my point to that is that when people are investing so much into a creature that doesn't even have a lifespan that's even longer than like 10 years, it's a little maddening. Now, it's one thing that you have the resources for it and it's the family dog, and maybe you're doing it because you're like, yeah, my kids are attached to the dog. I don't want them to feel sad. And you try to keep the dog around as best as you can. I'm just going to keep saying dog because I see it a lot with dogs. So sorry, it's pets in general, but you get what I'm saying. And so I understand that. But when it's something where it's like just you and you're trying to hold on to it rather than just go get a person, something's wrong with you, that you are not just trying to get a person. That person will be around so much longer. That person, when you put that effort into them, it goes so much more of a longer way. It contributes back to your life. It's not one-sided where you're just giving to them and that's it. Assuming that you find the right person. Obviously, we know the dating game is hard, but my point is that unlike a dog, which just you're putting resources in and everything, it's not coming back to you. It's a shame that we've gotten to that point where that's normalized. I think that's a really big problem. But I just wanted to point that out. So like I said, throw in the comments down below what your thoughts are. I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably have, if anyone comments on the videos and it's somebody who is a dog owner and is probably a woman, will probably say all the reasons why, no, this is why, and they are my family and blah, blah, this and that. But sometimes people who are within that zone and don't understand the problem don't realize it is a problem. But it is a problem. It is, you're giving more weight to a creature that dies. Let's put aside the fact that whether you think it's a life that is equal to a human's life, which it shouldn't be equal to a human's life, not on a standpoint of life in general, but on a standpoint of you are a human. So that life shouldn't mean more to you than a human because you're a human. Whereas a dog will value another dog's life more than you. I get that because they're a dog. So just in the context of animal per animal species, they shouldn't be more valuable to you. But let's remove that for a second and say, okay, you do value all life equally the same in the context of how they are interacting with you. An animal that can only live about 10 years versus an animal that can live about 80 years should not be comparable. You should not compare the two at all, let alone one that can actually do for you as a family member, another human, versus one that can't do for you at all. You should not be comparing the two. So to me, in that regards, it is the expression of a sickness, of just kind of the mental weight of people having the stress where life isn't going the way they want. So they find a placebo to kind of help them through it. And I get it. That's essentially what it's for. But like I said, comment down below what your thoughts are on the subject. To me, I think it's a problem that it's becoming such a widespread thing, and it's happening more so and more so with single people. There's nothing wrong with a family having an animal, I feel, because like I said, not everyone is going to be attached to that animal on the level of they're my only reason for living, because you have the family and it's a part of the family. But when you're single and you make that family, that animal more priority than other human interaction, I think it's a problem. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. As always, you guys be safe, take care, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.